Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be these books will self-destruct in 12 months style video. But before hopping too far into it, if you're new here, hello, my name is Emily. This is MacInnis Mama, where you will find mostly bookish content. I sometimes like to throw in other styles of videos here and there on my channel. I have seen a lot of creators do this style of video. I believe the first person I personally saw do it was Becca in the Books. I do not know if she came up with this concept, but I will link some other creators in my description box who have done this style of video. And the idea is you have 12 months to read these books, and if not, you need to unhaul them. So they're not like your prized possessions, but maybe they've been lingering on your shelves for too long and you really need this motivation to just finally read them, or maybe it's time to admit to yourself that you're never going to read it and it should get off your shelves. Now, mine is going to be a smidge different because I have realized that I am the worst kind of book borrower in that I borrow books and then I don't read them for a very long time. I do eventually return them, but I should be asking to borrow a book, reading it, and then giving it back. So I apologize to my mom and my stepmom. And then I have a few books here from my father-in-law, who he gifted them to me, and I can donate them when I'm done with them if they're not a favorite, but he sends them along on a semi-regular basis, and I never feel that I get to them. But when I read the backs, I am interested enough to like put them on my shelf, or else I would just say no thank you. But yeah, I haven't read them, so I have a couple of those in here too, but mostly it's the ones from my mom and my stepmom that I really need to get back to them. So I'm sure you have seen this leaning tower of books behind me, so let's stop the rambling and hop right in. So obviously I will not be donating these books if I don't read them. They will just go back to their proper owner in 12 months if I have not read them, and as I read them I will be giving them back. Also, I have a few other like TBR type things in the works for 2023, such as 23 to read in 2023 and those like 12 book recommendations from 12 different people style things. I'm considering making a jumbo TBR jar with these books and those ones I just mentioned, and pulling 2 to 3 each month at the beginning of my TBR game and trying to fit them into the prompts and the roles. Let me know what you think about that, and then I can't just fully forget about them. Anyways, you will have seen these first 3. These are from my stepmom. You would have seen these in my big fall book haul, but these 3 Kristen Hannahs. I do own another Kristen Hannah. I have 4 on my shelves, but 3 of them are my stepmom's, and she would like them back, of course. She really loved these, and I'm really excited to dive in. I'm most excited about the Great Alone just because it seems to be the most popular, but I've seen amazing reviews from a couple people for the Night Road who gave it 5 stars, so it's definitely not her most popular, and I think it's quite different compared to her other novels. And then Firefly Lane, I am interested in reading this and then watching the Netflix series. So these are, I'm not even in frame, the 3 Kristen Hannah books. I believe I have 12 books on my list. I could be wrong. I just was throwing things in a box. Now I don't even know like what to do with these. How do people film their bookish videos without ending up with just mountains of books around them? I don't even know if that's possible. Okay, let's hop into the books from my father-in-law because I do just have a couple of those. I picked 4 off my shelves. I have many more than that, but these are ones that, again, I read the back. I am interested in them, especially these two, but let's start with the two that for some reason I keep holding on to them thinking they would be the perfect spooky season reads, and then spooky season comes and goes and I don't even feel like picking them up. But then again, spooky season left and I looked at these on my shelf and I thought, I think I could unhaul these now. I read the backs and I was like, maybe next year. So it has to be next year or I'm going to donate these. So first I have Jeffrey Deaver, The Skin Collector. This is a Lincoln Rhyme novel. I have no idea. Forensic Detective Lincoln Rhymes returns with the sequel to the classic thriller The Bone Collector. So do I have to read The Bone Collector first? I am rethinking all of my life choices. Anyways, this is like scary thriller, detective. I love these kinds of TV shows, but I haven't ever picked up like a detective series, crime series in books. So maybe it's just not my thing in books. But I don't know because I've never tried it. So I have that one. Then I have Michael Crichton's State of Fear. I think he's most well known for like Jurassic World. Is that right? Jurassic Park. So this is along a similar lines, kind of sci-fi, in which experiments. A young physicist performs an oceanographic experiment, then dies mysteriously after a romantic tryst with a beautiful stranger. In the jungles of Malaysia, powerful hypersonic cavitation technology, I might be too stupid for this book, capable of toppling mountains with sound, is purchased by a private interest in an unspecified purpose. In Vancouver, a businessman leases a small research submarine for use in the waters off New Guinea. In Tokyo, in Los Angeles, in Antarctica, in Solomon Islands, an intelligence agent races to put all the pieces together to prevent a global catastrophe. Again, I think I would really enjoy this if it were like a movie. Is this a movie? I don't know, but I don't know how I'd feel about it in book form. And again, those have been on my shelves for years and years and I haven't gotten to them. These are two more kind of crime books. So from David Baldacci, One Good Deed. This is actually the first in the series I did check. When a war veteran is released from prison, he's sent on parole with a short list of do's and a long list of don'ts. He gets hired for what seems to be a simple job, to collect a debt owed to a powerful local businessman. Won't be collected easy, blah, blah, blah. Again, I really like this style of movie. Want to try it out in a book. It does sound interesting to me, but it's definitely not my typical genre. And the last one from my father-in-law is from John Grisham, A Painted House. This is like a historical crime. It's set in 1952. And this sounds almost more like a crime, like drama situation. Can't help thinking of other coming of age novels such as To Kill a Mockingbird. Interesting. Okay, now on to more exciting books. I'm sorry, I wanted to get through those. I do want those to be on my self-destruct list, but I know they're not my typical type of books, and that is why I haven't picked them up in many years. But now, what's left in my box are books that my mom has lent me, and I still have not read. So the first, I definitely talked about this in popular series I haven't read yet. I'm kind of counting this as one slot in my self-destruct pile, because obviously if I pull in The Stone Sky before I've read the 5th season, it doesn't really count, but I do have all 3 in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. This is a sci-fi fantasy dystopian type of series, and it's 50-50. On the one hand, I think I'm going to absolutely love it. It's going to be a new favorite, or I am going to be too stupid to comprehend this series. I'm very intimidated by the series. The books aren't even that big, but I think it's going to require some brain power, so I'm quite nervous about this. But again, I've had these on my shelves for a couple of years now, and I still haven't read them. I actually bought 2 out of 3 of these for my mom as gifts, and then she like read them all and she said, oh my gosh, it was so good, you need to read it. So she deserves to have those back. All these books really. But then I have Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is the villains duology. I think Vengeful is the second one, in which we are following these 2 best friends who are scientists, and they discover that in order to gain supernatural abilities, they need to have a near-death experience. And I believe that it starts off with one of them coming out of jail and seeking revenge towards the other. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I love V.E. Schwab. Speaking of V.E. Schwab, I also have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is a fantasy standalone. We're following Addie LaRue, who made a deal with the devil to live forever, but then nobody remembers her until one day somebody does. And this is a very polarizing book. So many people love it, and so many people hate it and think it's so boring and stupid. So I actually think I'm really going to love this book, and I haven't had this one on my shelf for all that long, but again, it's my mom's. It needs to be read this year and then returned to her. Another epic fantasy series I'm really excited to get into this year is Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, the first book of The Ancestor. This is following a school of assassin nuns, and this is very dark in themes, and I think it's kind of like magical school setting. I'm not entirely sure, but I think my mom only read this first one and then handed it off to me, and I don't think she's ever continued the series either. So if I really enjoy this as well, then I will probably just buy the other 2 books in the trilogy, and then I will send them off to her to read. And lastly, this one is a very recent addition, but again, it was my mom's. This is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I bought The Love Hypothesis, read it, loved it, lent it to her. She read it, loved it, and then bought Ali Hazelwood's new release. I do know this is very similar to The Love Hypothesis, so that's why I've been putting it off. I am going to make this a priority to read in February because romance, pink cover, I think it would be perfect for that, and that gives me a good amount of time between the 2 books. I don't mind if an author, especially a romance author, has a very formulaic, comforting style, but if it's too similar, I definitely don't want to read them close together. So this has been purposely put off, but I do still think I'm really going to enjoy it. So those are actually 14 books because of the Broken Earth trilogy that I need to read in the next 12 months, or I must unhaul them / return them to their owner, with the exception of the 4 books from my father-in-law. If I do not get to those or do not enjoy them, I will donate them to my local charity shop. You'll have to let me know if you have any books like this on your shelves that you really should read in the next year, or probably just admit to yourself you're not going to read it and move along. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!